Bill gets his signal caller back as Cam is cleared to rejoin his Patriot teammates in the AFC East. A double-digit loss against the Titans Week 5 was not enough to knock the Bills out of the top spot just yet, but the Pats are nipping on Buffalo's heels. Former Patriot Damien Woody here with us now. Damien, always good to see you. We will get to you in just a second. But, Stephen A., after that beatdown by Buffalo, folks are starting to kind of look at them differently. Tell me this. Are you having second thoughts about the Bills winning the AFC East?
I am. When I saw them get beat down by the Titans the way that they did, first of all, I don't know if Josh Norman is going to ever recover from that highlight reel, the way he got shoved aside by Derrick Henry. I mean, damn. I mean, I love Josh, but I mean that's a hard one to take right there. I mean, yeah, Max, to use one of your boxing analogies, that's like what happened to William Joppy when he went up against Felix Trinidad at the Garden years ago. You remember what that first round was like. That was just crazy. But
certainly
I mean, y'all got to go to the highlights to see that one. But I mean, that was just bad. Mm-hmm. And I'm just saying that it's one thing for the Titans to win. It's another thing for them to run roughshod over the Bills the way that they did. They still got a 2-game lead against the New England Patriots. Cam is coming back. You can't summarily dismiss the Bills. Please don't get me wrong. But again, I always classified or categorized the difference between losing and getting beat up. Losing can happen to anybody. Yeah. But when you get beat up, well, that just shows your inferiority. And I think that that's what we saw from the Bills the other day. Again, it's just one game. I understand it. But considering that it's the AFC East that we're talking about, which the Patriots have dominated for the better part of the last 2 decades, with Cam coming back, watching how competitive New England was against Kansas City. Brian Hoyer stunk up the joint, but as a defense, they were very, very competitive and stuff like that. Listen, I can't count out the Patriots, not when the Bills showed up and acted like the Bills of old.
And let me add one more wrinkle to that, and that was the Titans after coming off a couple of weeks where they weren't even in their building and all those positive COVID tests. So they hadn't even had normal weeks, and they were still able to pull that off.
And had like 2 or 3 walkthroughs. That's it.
That's it, yeah. Exactly. And they got the job done. Max?
Yeah, I liked New England all along. I thought it was close. I think Josh Allen is at this moment not in the MVP conversation, though he can get his way back in there because he's an ascending quarterback and they got a defense, but they got whooped. I mean, it happens to everyone. You're going to get beaten. I know you are what your record says you are, but, I mean, the Patriots are a hell of a 2-2 team. Their one loss with Cam Newton occurred against the Seahawks, who are still undefeated, on a goal line stand by the Seahawks defense. It's 1 yard this way or that way, and the Patriots win that game. But they lost fair and square. But it's just like that's a quality loss to have. Like, it doesn't really knock you down that much in my estimation. And then the other loss is to the Kansas City Chiefs when you don't have Cam Newton and the refs have a terrible call go against you and you're competitive throughout the game. Well, that's a hell of a 2-2 team. I don't care if they lose to Denver this week and they're 2-3. I'm still liking the Patriots in the AFC East. People forget Cam Newton, the best player in football the year he won the MVP, took his team to a Super Bowl where his best receiver was his tight end and he was his own best running back. And now that dude has Bill Belichick. I don't care how many defections there are off the defense. You know how many elite and top-notch defenders I've seen Belichick trade for draft picks through the years, and the defense looks like it hasn't missed a beat? This is going to be a very well-coached team with the best quarterback in the division. I like the Patriots by a very little bit over a Bills team that I'm not going to start to underrate off of one bad loss.
Well, listen, I got to go with the Patriots. The Patriots have had a stranglehold on the AFC East for 20 years. 20 years. And I know that was with Tom Brady. But the one thing we all agree on in pro football is coaching matters more in football than any other sport. And Bill Belichick is by far, in my opinion, the best coach that we have ever seen in this sport. And so I know a lot of people have talked about, how the Bills have been nipping on the Patriots' heels for a couple of years now. And rightfully so. Sean McDermott and company have been building that program up, and Josh Allen has been taking steps. But again, when you're talking about an organization that has far and away been the best organization in the league now for quite some time, and went out here and got Cam Newton. And we've seen what Cam Newton has brought to this New England Patriots ball club. Max, you talked about it in the Seattle Seahawks loss. I mean, we're talking about the same weapons that Tom Brady had, and look what Cam Newton has been able to do with that offense. The fact that he's a dual-threat quarterback that teams have to pay close attention to, not only throwing but running the football, it just makes the Patriots much, much harder to defend. And when you have Coach Belichick and Josh McDaniels able to utilize the strengths of Cam Newton offensively, it makes that Patriots team hard to beat. And so what we saw from the Tennessee Titans, what we saw from the Buffalo Bills, is we saw a team that obviously was 4-0, and they just got punched in the mouth like Mike Tyson. I think the biggest question for the Bills is, how do you respond? How will Josh Allen respond? We don't know how Josh Allen is going to respond. But I know one thing, the Patriots have always been in these type of situations where they face adverse conditions, and they've always bounced back. So until someone I see someone dethrone the Patriots, I'm always going to give them the benefit of the doubt as far as who is the top dog in that division.
I think coming to a couple of things that we all have to pay attention to is that the two shining moments for the New England Patriots this season, as far as I'm concerned, is in their losses. I mean, when you talk about the New England Patriots, again, they lost.
You said the two shining moments are in their losses?
They lost to Seattle, 35-30. They're at the 1 yard line against Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks after Russell Wilson had thrown for like 5 touchdowns or whatever the case may be. You look at Cam Newton's guy, I mean, it was a predictable play. Seattle seemed like it knew what was coming, and as a result, they were able to stop them. But that's what it took for Seattle to beat that New England Patriots team. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.